everyone. Welcome back to my podcast, Beneath the Surface, where we're discussing my new book, Only Say Good Things. Today, we are going into the second part of my podcast with Erin, and we're going to be talking all things true love. We're going to go over chapter 4 today in the second part of my podcast with Erin. I hope you enjoy. So I pretty much have a whole chapter dedicated to Greg because I feel that he was such a light, like not only in my life, but kind of in everybody's life. He also came from a different school district. Like he wasn't one of those like rich, stuck up La Jolla kids. Mm-hmm. And he got in because his dad owned the bike shop. Mm-hmm. I don't remember exactly how we met, but I think it maybe through Paul Schoen.
Maybe you guys had a class together or something?
Something, but he was a year older. I remember he was born in 1985, but we had the same birthday. And he kind of liked me, and Paul kind of liked me at the same time. I remember Paul would, go to Mexico City and he needed bodyguards, and it was just stuff we're not used to.
Yeah.
And I remember Paul saying, "Oh, I really like you, but so does Greg. And don't pick him just because he has the same birthday." I'm like, whoa, he has the same birthday? I had no idea. And I just thought that was really cool. And yeah, when I started hanging out with Greg, we just instantly became like inseparable. And I feel like he integrated into the friend group
totally
pretty well.
That's one thing I really remember is like, we'd always hang out. It was like our friend group and then Greg. And it was like he was one of the friends and he made us all feel like we were his friends too. And like even at lunchtime, I remember like we always would have this little, like it was like 4 of us like in our little group and Greg, and we would just like kind of go off in our own little pod or whatever. And like he didn't care that he was just like hanging out with you and your friends, and it was just like fun. And it seems like, I don't know, it was just, yeah, everything that we did, it was like us and Greg. Like I'm sure he was probably like sick of me being the tag along all the time, but
it was all of us. I feel like it was us and Shannon and even Jessica Shanann at some point. And some, I have the pictures of us like all at school. But I do remember Greg just kind of joking with everyone and pulling, hanging on everyone, or like playing little pranks on, just like this big smile where you could see like all of his teeth. And he was I feel like he was such a happy person and such a light.
Yeah, totally.
And
I don't ever remember seeing Greg like in a bad mood or like upset or anything. Like he was always just so friendly and fun, and like I feel like he felt like that about, or like everybody felt that same way about him. Like he was just like in multiple friend groups kind of like, and everybody seemed to like him.
Yeah. Everybody did. Everybody really, really liked him. Yeah, it's his dad was really strict. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember there being like stuff where you guys would like have to like kind of sneak around a little bit to be together.
Yeah.
But I never met his parents or anything.
Yeah, it gave me a little bit of a complex because I'm like, oh, do his parents not like me? Because he always had to be in and like cleaning something or doing something for his dad, or at the bike shop, and it never really included me. Like he just wanted maybe to get him like away from me. I don't know. So it gave me like kind of a complex and made me feel like a bit insecure. But yeah, I really appreciate like that like happiness that he brought to all of us. And yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I know. Like I just remember your guys' relationship, and like it was just so like genuine and sweet, and like something that you kind of strive for in a relationship, just like truly friends, and just like you have fun together and you just like each other, not even just like, oh, you love each other. It's like you actually like each other and enjoy being around one another and like just laugh and have fun. And I feel like that's what you guys were.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, it sucks and it's sad. And sometimes I wish he was still alive so I could just call him. And like, it's hard losing that connection to your past. It's hard not being able to just like call him up or check in on him. And his life was cut way too short.
Yeah,
I think he was only 23.
It's so sad.
But then I don't know how I jumped from somebody so caring and kind to somebody so awful. Enter Owen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that you and I got in the rabbit hole with a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for those who don't know or haven't read the book yet, Owen was a lot older. I think he was 26 when we were like 19 or 28.
Even younger.
Really?
I feel like there was at least like a 10-year difference or something.
Yeah, and it's things when we were curious and we felt like, oh, we wanted to be cool or we wanted to do certain things. Like he had unlimited alcohol. You know, anyone can come to his house and drink. He had all the parties. He had drugs. He had cocaine. He had ecstasy, mushrooms. I remember once they like shook a bunch of mushrooms in my mouth. I don't know if you were there that day.
Mm-hmm. I did it too. And it was just like, here, drink this or take this. And it's like, I didn't even know what I was doing. I mean, how stupid, but it wasn't a great experience.
But isn't it weird that like we feel stupid when this is somebody who should have clearly known better?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet we're like, I feel like, okay, I hold shame for that. But I'm like, this person who is a full adult is hanging out with high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think he had any other friends. Oh,
yeah.
a few of those like weirdo crazies. The one that was the security guard at the strip club, he would come over and, you know, hit on you. And
there's all sorts of random sketchy people there.
Yeah. And we kind of got sucked in.
Yeah. And I think for us at the time, it was like, you know, it seemed cool to us because it was like, yeah, like all these things that we don't have access to, you know, and some freedom and a place to like hang and kind of do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And like my parents were super strict. So it was like, you know, to have some escape from all of that was, you know, alluring. And it's hard not to like kind of get sucked into that kind of life where it's like, you know, we didn't have to pay for anything that we were doing or like worry about anything that we were doing there. It was just like, okay, this is easy access to stuff. And I don't know. And I guess it didn't seem bizarre to us at the time that like these adults were hanging out with us for some reason.
Yeah,
I think
it's weird.
Just feel cooler or more mature or something.
I mean, they should have exercised the judgment that we clearly didn't have. You know, we obviously, like science has proven that judgment doesn't even form in your brain until you're in your late 20s.
Yeah.
Like your full judgment. And so we didn't have that. And so for these people to just take advantage of that, I do remember people from the high school coming by and like buying cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do remember, and he would give it out for free too.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like he would just give it to kids for free. So he would have those kids as friends.
Yeah. It's really fucked up.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, now people have those. I've been hearing about, you know, microdosing mushrooms, and people are doing these things like ketamine therapy and all this stuff. And and I just get PTSD from the times like all the shrooms was shoved down my mouth and had the worst like trip or whatever you call it ever. I don't know. Did you took the mushrooms too? Mm-hmm. Were you okay?
I mean, I remember feeling like scared and like not knowing what was happening. And it was just like, I mean, I just remember like trying to like go to sleep on the couch and just be like, hopefully when I wake up, this is all done, because I didn't like how I felt. And I felt like there was all sorts of weird stuff I was seeing. I mean, it was just like, it was, yeah, like what you call like a bad trip, I guess. Like I had no sense of what, I was supposed to be experiencing, but I didn't like it. And yeah, I was like, I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah. I thought I was going to die. I remember seeing like laser beams.
Yeah, no, it was
between
like weird lighting and like, I don't know.
Yeah. I saw like laser beams going between, like it was from my eyes to the security guard from the strip club's eyes. And I'm like, oh no. And then like, this is what happens. I'm like, oh, and I remember telling him like, please don't tell my mom I died this way. I thought I was going to die. And then they like laid me down in the bedroom downstairs. I don't know where you were at that point, but they put on the CD and it was like a rap CD. And in between the rap songs were these skits. And
Mm.
one of the skits said something like, "What do you mean is he dead? His brains are blown all over the sidewalk." So I'm down here thinking somebody's got murdered upstairs and there's like brains
Oh
on the
my God.
sidewalk.
That's
'Cause
terrible.
eventually it faded, but another time I remember I was given like 6 ecstasy pills. I don't know if you were there that time.
No.
I remember a girl named Rachel Decker was there. Not Rachel Decker, Rachel Downs.
Mm.
She was there and they were like giving us these pills. And at one point you just feel like, I don't know, just like woozy and cloudy. And you're like, oh, can I have more? And I remember asking for more and they kept giving them to me and I took about 6.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm surprised. And then I remember Owen started trying to like hook up with my friend and me. And I'm like, okay, there's something, I'm starting to feel weird and like jealous and this is awkward. And I just remember being really thirsty and I think I like peed the bed. I don't know. There's just water everywhere. I couldn't tell what was like drinking or peeing or, but I woke up the next day and I literally felt like suicidal. I think that every
Oh
single
yeah,
drop of dopamine or something just sucked out of my body.
totally.
And it was the worst ever. I could never do anything like that ever again.
Mm. Hmm.
And this was all before we were 21,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So by the time we get to college, we both went to the same school, San Diego State.
Hmm.
We were over it.
I mean, I went probably through a couple phases of partying, but yeah, for the most part, I was like done. I'm like, I'm done with this. Like
Yeah.
too much.
By the time I got to the mansion, all those parties, I'm 21 and I don't even want to drink. So I'm like, oh, if when you drink you don't feel well or you want to just go out and the party and have fun and I got to be in the house mostly. So I didn't really drink from 21 still till now.
I know. It's really crazy. I mean, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing
Yeah.
that could come of that, but yeah, I think we just kind of like got it all out of our systems like pretty early on, and then it was like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't like the way I feel with that or whatever. I mean, luckily we
That's,
had that reaction versus like going down a rabbit hole of addiction or something. And
I know you are so right. We are the lucky ones
yeah,
because it could have gone way worse than it did.
yeah,
We were very lucky. And also we got ourselves in situations like being drunk or being, whatever we were given, we were put in situations that were not favorable. And I think a lot of those situations were with men where we felt like kind of pressure in some way or another. And that was hard too for me. I don't know if you felt like
yeah,
anything like that.
yeah, totally.
I talk about in the book that guy Cue Ball, where it's like he was just kind of pressuring me to do something. And I'm like, okay, if I just like have sex with him, then he'll like leave me alone. And I feel like we kind of got in situations like that when we were younger. I don't know if I did, but I know we were both in some weird situations like that. I don't know if you remember any of them.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I think there was definitely situations where you feel like you're just better off just not listening to your gut and like or for whatever reason we didn't listen to our gut, which is saying like this is doesn't feel right or whatever, and just ignoring that, pushing that down and just kind of going along with what we think we should do or what will make somebody like us more or what they want from us or what a woman should be to a man, like instead of just saying like this doesn't feel right or I don't like this or I don't even like this person, it just felt like you don't really have a choice sometimes.
Yeah, that's like really well said. And it's very true. And I remember recently you and I were talking about, we were like reminiscing on like random men and boys we knew and like maybe hooked up with or something. And like most of the people we mentioned were like, ew, like gross.
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
I know. It's hard not to like, yeah, kind of like you said, like kind of hold kind of shame for some of those things. But at the same time, it's like, where's the responsibility on, I don't know, on the other men to have like, I don't know, done things differently or I don't know. I don't feel
Yeah.
like I'm saying that right. But
I do think
yeah,
things are changing a bit. I do think things are changing and like
yeah,
people are respecting each other more now.
I hope so.
I do.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think just even for young women to um, learn to respect themselves and at an earlier age, like had maybe we had that more, we would have had the courage or the whatever to say, no in situations where we're not comfortable or whatever.
Yeah. 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 It's like all the lessons we have now that we wish we had then.
Yeah.
Like the quote, it's like, youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah.
Have you heard that? It's true.
Yeah.
Like, it is so wasted on the young. I just did so much dumb shit. And it's like youth is completely wasted on the young.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we had the wisdom now with that youth, it would be much different.
It would be much different. Yeah. But, maybe we need to go through those experiences too to kind of end up where we are now and, have the perspectives that we have and have the whatever, like the knowledge to do things differently now.
I feel like I'm having to fast track a lot of that because being in the mansion for 10 years was like a little bit of a arrested development for me in a way. It felt very, I don't know, a lot of the lessons I'm learning now are things I probably should have learned before, like boundaries and
mm-hmm. I mean, I'm still learning that stuff too. But I think it's just like a lifelong journey,
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely know like the mansion days where, that was definitely a different, not quite reality.
Yeah. Can you tell me, like, from your perspective, what the mansion was like? Like being in there myself, I'm still my head's a little spun around, but you as like knowing each other for so long, and you would come up to parties and visit, and that's where I live, so that's where you had to come visit me because I couldn't really go many other places. But I would love to know like your perspective of everything there.
Well, I remember the first time I went up there after you were living there, and I was living in Colorado at the time, and I flew out to see you. I don't know if you remember this, and you came to pick me up in a limo. Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
And I felt like the hottest shit. I was like, oh my God, look at me. I'm like, it was like, it felt surreal. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm rolling up to the Playboy Mansion in a limo with,
That's cool.
with my best friend. Like, I mean, it was just so surreal. So like that, I have that perspective where it was like just very surreal. Like you're kind of coming to this place that you've seen on TV or you've heard about or whatever. And so there was kind of some of that magic in that sense of like, oh my gosh, wow. And I'm sure you felt those same things when you first went there, the first times or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
but then I think I'm like, which limo would that be? And I'm like, oh, the one that always broke down. And so you see how like my thing of it kind of over time gets
a view.
But anyway, yeah, that's like first world problems. But yeah, the limo I think it was the one Hef limo that probably picked you up from the airport.
I think so. Yeah.
Was I there? I probably wasn't allowed to go. Oh, I was.
No, you were there. Yeah. You came and like stuck your head out the top of the thing. Like, here we are.
Oh my gosh. That's like a movie.
I know. That's what I mean. Like it felt like so surreal. I was like, oh my gosh. Like I felt like a little celebrity or something. I'm like, this is so fun. And then
really cool.
Like that was I was 21, maybe 20, maybe not even. Like I don't even remember how old I was then. 22 maybe. Anyway, like fast forward a few more years and it's like it felt just like there was a different view. I had a different view of it after some time and spending time there. Like the parties were always like, fun and done up, like really fancy looking and lots of, prep went into those, like, the food and the decorations and all that stuff. And so that was always cool. But then, coming up there, seeing like kind of behind the scenes, I don't know how else to kind of describe it, but just like the people that came up there and like just kind of how stuff went, it just was like, like, I don't know what the right word is, but it just
like, what do you have like examples of weird stuff or like,
oh gosh, I'm trying to think, like, I don't know. I always just felt weird. I mean, in the beginning, like the twins were still living there and they were not particularly nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They weren't very welcoming. Like, hi, nice to meet you. You're like, Crystal's best friend or something. It was just kind of like, oh, you're just like another person. And I don't know. I think just like the people that would come to the dinners and stuff or the movie nights, and it just felt fake. Like everybody was just like putting on a little show, and there's just something that just felt really icky about that to me.
Yeah. It's like their country club.
Yeah, and it just, I
They're
know
like,
it just felt like to you, like, somebody's always trying to take your spot or something, and I did get that vibe. Like, there's always kind of like this target on your back, and I don't know. It was interesting.
yeah, I definitely, some people are like, oh, Crystal was mean, or, oh, I can see how Holly was mean and this and that. And I'm like, we were all mean, like, because we always felt threatened. So we could never
Yeah.
like let our guard down.
Yeah.
I was always so happy to see you because I'm like, okay, like this is my actual friend. Like,
Yeah, I think there was something about like I don't know how you, I mean, I'm guessing you feel kind of similarly, but like just I'm happy that you and kind of kept that bond, because I think you needed somebody in the outside world to kind of keep you um grounded in some way. Like,
yeah, and
not to say I was
I
the only person in your
appreciate.
life that did that, but I think just, yeah, like you had this kind of one life over here, and then it was like, okay, I have these ties to my actual, like my real friends, my real family, that are just kind of normal. And um, I don't know, I think that helped keep you sane to some
It
degree.
really did. I really did. So I am so grateful to you for that. Like yeah, like seeing you up there, and then sometimes like Shannon would come up, and Brandon, and like
Hmm.
these are my friends, and after then you just didn't know, like, do these people really want to be my friend? Do they want something from me? Are they using me to get to hef? Like, you never knew for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I always appreciated when you would come up, and it was fun in our little moments of, I would have all of these random outfits from all the parties, and we'd like go through and like find something to wear, and
Yeah.
just be in like another bedroom. So we're like far away from wherever hef is, and just hang out, steal moments, just us hanging out when we could. And that
Hmm.
was really nice. I will always appreciate that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I know. Well, and I just like, I loved that you always like um like included me kind of as I like was, getting married and have kids and stuff, and it was like you still kind of allowed, like, it wasn't, I lost a lot of friends, like when you get married and you have kids and stuff, like people drop out of your life, and I feel like you always made space for like our differences in that way, or like the different phases of life that we're in, and still like, you know like bring your kids along, or whatever, just like come do whatever, like it wasn't a barrier for our friendship, which was really nice.
Yeah, I feel like that's what like true friendship is. It's like
Yeah.
I feel like whoever like dropped off, and for a reason, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll always be here, and you've always been there for me, so I appreciate it. Hopefully, one day I'll have kids and they can all be friends. At this point, your kids will be like 20 by the time I have one. That's why I'm like trying to convince you to have one more. Like, they'll be close in age. But
Never know.
maybe one day. You're like, I've had enough. But we'll see. Oh, well, I better let you go to all your stuff you have to do. But it was so like, as soon as I was like, hey, do you want to come on the podcast? And you're like, yeah, sure. And then you're here. And so I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. And, I first learned about podcasts through you.
It's so
And
funny. And I know they've been around for so long, but I know they're just like, really, really having a moment right now. And so, anyway, I'm just like super excited for you to have your podcast. And I've been listening to all the episodes. I love them. Um, and no, I'm glad to be a part of it. And I'm glad to see kind of like what you're doing um, with obviously the book. I know that took a lot of strength to do. And I know like as you were writing it over the past couple years, like, having to kind of relive, and like we've talked about a lot of like the stories to kind of remember like timelines of stuff, and like
yeah.
memories and things like that. And I just know like that's really to kind of go through a lot of that stuff, especially the stuff that's really hard to talk about. I know that wasn't easy. So
Oh,
anyway. I'm just super proud of
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. I'm proud of you too. I'm proud of you for everything you have going on and your relationship and your work. And you're just, I mean, you've always been just like a boss, and you've always been just an inspiration. And I do really appreciate literally every draft of the book I sent to you. Like, what do you think? How do you feel? Is this too much? Is this not enough? And I appreciate you reading all of it. And yeah, I am so grateful.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you're in my life, and I appreciate you so much.
Oh.
And yeah, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you soon, Disney.
Yeah. Yeah. Disney any day.
Always Disney.
I'm always down for Disney.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. I'll let you get to your stuff you have to do today. And thank you. This is a great episode.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Love
bye.
you.
Love you.